This is All India Radio. In the program Insights, now we bring you a discussion on World Meteorological Day 2023, Role of Meteorological Services in the Safety of Society. The participants are Mrityunjay Mahapatra, Director General of Meteorology, Indian Meteorological Department, and Omvesh Upadhyay, AIR Correspondent.
March 23 is celebrated as World Meteorological Day, highlighting past achievements, present progress, and future potential of weather forecasting. It showcases the essential contribution of national meteorological and hydrological services to the safety and well-being of society and is celebrated with activities around the world. And today, to discuss on this in detail, we are joined by Mrityunjay Mahapatra, Director General of Meteorology, Indian Meteorological Department. So to begin the discussion, I would like to know from you what is the theme of this year's World Meteorological Day, and in the times of now, how significant it is.
So like every year, this year's World Meteorological Organization is celebrating the World Meteorological Day with a special theme. The theme for this year is the future of weather, water and climate across the generations. This theme is important in the sense that all of us know that climate change is a fact, and climate change is influencing all our day-to-day life and also influencing our socio-economic activities. It is a fact that there has been the international agreement and there is a conference of parties meeting COP27 last year and COP28 this year going to be held. Considering these adverse impacts because of the climate change, United Nations and World Meteorological Organizations came together with a common slogan, that is early warning for all. This warning for all has to be achieved by 2027. So it is mainly because the early warning has to be improved so as to enable the common people, stakeholders, disaster managers to take precautionary measures so as to minimize loss of lives and property. So considering this long-term impact of the climate change for the coming generations, the necessary steps which to be taken by the individual basis at the government level and the non-government organizations, that needs to be highlighted. The objective of the WMO celebrating this year's WM Day with this theme is to achieve the required awareness and response actions so that we have the early warning and early actions for all types of severe weather, and we have the weather and climate information and water information to optimize our management of natural resources and improve the socio-economic activity.
Sir, you mentioned about changing weather pattern and climate change, and in this regard, we want to understand from you what are the major global weather patterns that work as a domino to affect the weather in certain areas, and how climate change is catalyzing the impact and increasing disaster severity.
The climate was changing earlier, climate is changing now, climate also will change in future by the natural processes. Usually the climate of the earth changes because of the interaction between sun and earth. As for Milankovic theory, there are three significant periods of variation. One is about 100,000 years, then other one is the 40,000 years and 20,000 years. These are the slow scale changes in the climate. So therefore we get sometimes the glacial period, that means temperature going down, and sometimes the interglacial period when temperature goes up. But what happened after the commencement of the industrial period in 1850, in addition to the natural gases which are available in the atmosphere, the human activity or the anthropogenic activity ejected certain gases like carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide because of the industrial effects, so that the concentration of these gases increased in the atmosphere. The property of these gases like carbon dioxide, methane and nitrous oxide is that they can absorb the heat energy released from the surface of the earth, and hence the atmosphere gets warmed up. So because of this, there has been rise in surface air temperature of the globe by 1.15 degrees Celsius per 100 years. Similarly, if I consider India, there also rise in temperature by 0.63 degrees Celsius per 100 years. We may think that this rise is very small, 1 degree or 0.6 degree, but I will say it is the average temperature over the entire area. Therefore, when you consider the specific point or specific city or specific village, there could be rise by 4 to 5 degrees Celsius. So therefore, we should worry about this rise in temperature over the globe and also rise in temperature in India. Because of this rise in temperature, the more and more water is getting evaporated from the water bodies. Because the sea surface temperature, for example, as it increases, the water gets warmed up and gets vaporized. So once the temperature rises by 1 degree, about 7% of the moisture in the atmosphere will increase. So if the moisture content in the atmosphere increases, then when there is some kind of instability in the atmosphere, say due to a low pressure system like low, depression or cyclone, the amount of rainfall which we are getting now, the amount of rainfall will increase. And that rainfall also becomes the heavy rainfall. And this says that the frequency and intensity of heavy rainfall has increased in tropical countries, including India, and light rainfall, moderate rainfall has decreased. That means if it is not raining, it is not raining at all. When it is raining heavily. Therefore, when there will be heavy rainfall, there will be less scope for percolation, and hence groundwater recharge will decrease. At the same time, because of the heavy rainfall, there will be soil erosion, there will be runoff, and hence there will be chance of flooding. Urban flooding, riverine flooding will be more, and also the flash flooding. In the hill areas, these flash floodings will lead to increase in cloudburst-like phenomena, leading to landslides, mudslides, and mud sinks. The third one is that what we find that even if the monsoon rainfall as a whole in the country during monsoon season is not changing significantly, but the frequency of heavy rainfall is increasing, leading to increase in frequency of floods. Also, the variability of monsoon rainfall is increasing, leading to increase in frequency of droughts also, even though total amount of rainfall is not changing. The number of heat wave days, duration of heat wave, intensity of heat wave is also increasing because of the rising temperature.
Absolutely.
At the same time, the cold wave frequency and days are decreasing globally and also in India. For example, heat wave, the peninsula of India usually do not get heat wave conditions, but nowadays it is also becoming prone to heat wave conditions in addition to central and northern India. Due to rising temperature and moisture, the frequency of thunderstorms are also rising, and hence the lightning activity is also increasing. So therefore, there is a threat in terms of increase in number of extreme weather and severity of the extreme weather.
Very well explained by you, Mr. Mohapatra. And as known, the Meteorological Department translates science into services for society. I want to understand from you how are the meteorological organizations are working to improve forecasting and early warning systems to protect communities from extreme weather events, as you explained.
Just like WMO came into existence as International Meteorology Organization in 1873, India Meteorological Department came into existence in 1875. We are also going to complete 150 years in 2025, January 15. So we also, over the period of time, have improved the early warning services like many other leading countries of the world. When you talk of the early warning services, it includes the observational systems, the communication systems, modeling system, forecasting early warning, and its dissemination to general public, disaster management stakeholders. All these are being taken up with the intervention of science and technology, so that we can help the society. As you told, it's science to society. So when we talk of science to society, we have to introduce the expected impacts of the hazard and vulnerability and the risk assessment. In the recent years, last 3 years, IMD has introduced the impact-based forecast risk-based warning for all types of severe weather. IMD has also expanded its sectoral applications. I think there is no sector left out which is not affected by weather and climate. So, but however, we are prioritizing the urban sector because urban society is more prone now towards extreme disasters, and also power sector because as we move in the climate change scenario, as we move from conventional energy towards renewable energy, so we also need to have a better forecast so that we can have the load forecast, the generation forecast, so that loss can be minimized. So we have introduced the power sector forecast in association with Ministry of Power. Similarly, health sector. There are many vector-borne diseases which are also being influenced in view of this climate change. So we have introduced the forecast for malaria. We have introduced the forecast for dengue, and it is being provided every week. So we come to hydrology sector. As I told you, because of this heating, there is a changing water cycle. The heavy rainfall phenomena is increasing, light rainfall is decreasing, moisture content in the atmosphere is increasing, and ice is melting near Himalayas, and the ice caps are melting in polar caps, that is Antarctic and Arctic. So therefore, we have to provide more specific information towards the water. So we introduced the quantitative precipitation forecast, and late period is increasing. Impact-based forecast for heavy rainfall leading to floods. Flood for guidance has been introduced in the country so that we can provide for all watersheds in the country in the expected floods during next 6 hours, next 12 hours, or next 24 hours. Similarly, urban flood warning system has been introduced for city of Mumbai, city of Chennai. Now we are working for city of Kolkata, Hyderabad, Bhubaneswar, Bangalore, Ahmedabad, Banaras, and Delhi, Guwahati also. So like that, also we have gone for environmental monitoring. As you know that weather and environment are not independent, we have introduced the air quality forecast for certain cities, and air quality forecast is available for the entire country. We improved our agriculture forecast with impact-based forecast of agriculture in collaboration with Indian Council of Agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India, and the state government. By that way, we not only say what the weather will be, but we say what the weather will do tomorrow to various sectors, including the agriculture. Also, we go for transport sector, be it aviation or be it maritime or be it surface transport like roadways or railways. We are now providing a forecast to them. All these forecasts are being provided in GIS-based format so that any individual, we can identify his area or his village or his ward in the city and find out what the current weather is and what the weather will be for next 3 days or 5 days. Not only that, he can also find out what is the damage expected and action suggested, so that he will be ready to take action with the smart information on weather and climate.
And as said that our weather and climate know no national or political boundaries, and international cooperation is essential. So Mr. Mohapatra, how can countries collaborate and work together to address climate change and reduce the impact of extreme weather events?
At present in WMO, there are 193 countries. And these 193 countries exchange the weather information taken worldwide. But however, there are many countries who do not have the observational capacity. There are many poor countries like, say, least developed countries who have got small island nations who do not have the capacity to take even the meteorological observations. There are also certain problems. About 55% of the total countries have the multi-hazard early warning system. Remaining countries do not have any multi-hazard early warning system. They do not have capacity to have the high-performance computing system or the modeling system. So therefore, what we do actually, we collaborate with each other, and the leading country like India provides support to the least developing countries or other developing countries. So for example, in South Asia, India is the regional leader for South Asia, Southeast Asia, and Middle East to provide not only the observational data and the model forecast, but also the final advisory with respect to severe weather events like cyclones, thunderstorms, heavy rainfall, and wave conditions over the Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea. We also provide the capacity building training program to all these countries. So by that way, it is a complementary and collaborative approach by which the developed countries help the developing countries, and also in return all contribute towards the better analysis of weather and climate and provide the forecast. So not only that, once the forecast is issued, that should reach to the society. So for this purpose, the common alert protocol, the message should be transmitted in such a manner that a person can understand, a person can act upon. Therefore, impact-based forecast and common alert protocol is being introduced worldwide, and India is far ahead. India is among the leading countries who have introduced multi-hazard early warning system, who has introduced the impact-based forecast for severe weather, and who has introduced the common alert protocol. The common alert protocol has been introduced in collaboration with NDMA, State Disaster Management Authorities, and India Meteorological Department, other agencies of Ministry of Earth Sciences. So there are still gaps and scope to improve further, considering the fact that there are many remote areas like the oceans. We have got the Himalayas to the north, Bay of Bengal to the east, Arabian Sea to the west, Indian Ocean to the south. So we have to improve further our communication, those far-reach areas, so that each and every person in India gets the information. In India also we plan to have the information for every household about the weather and its warning by 2025.
Absolutely, and you very rightly pointed out India's leading role in the collaboration and helping other nations to combat the climate change and reduce the impact of extreme weather events. Thank you so much, Mr. Mohapatra, for joining us today on All India Radio.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on World Meteorological Day 2023, Role of Meteorological Services in the Safety of Society. The participants were Mrityunjay Mahapatra, Director General, Meteorology, Indian Meteorological Department, and Omvesh Upadhyay, AIR Correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.